So it is 3 p.m. your time, all the way from Copenhagen, huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
That is,
you've been here.
I have. My husband and I, right after we graduated from college, backpacked, and Denmark and Copenhagen were top cities. And we traveled in a C shape. Well, I think we flew in to Milan and then went into rest of Italy and then to France and then Spain. We just made a big circle and we made our way up. And Copenhagen's amazing. How long have you been there?
My entire life.
Oh.
I was born in Seoul, South Korea, but because I'm an adoptee, I arrived in Denmark when I was 13 months old. So I've been here for basically, yeah, 45 years.
Oh, that's a lucky place to land.
It is. Actually, it is. Often I think, oh my God, could I have been to the Maldives or, an exotic island
Oh,
of
right.
countries? What am I doing in cold Scandinavia?
Uh-huh.
It's a very safe country to live in.
It always wins all the awards for the happiest people.
It's actually weird, but because we are also the population that are known as being stressed, coming down
Oh.
with stress, which I don't get because we work 37 hours, full payment, full maternity leave, 7 hours of vacation, paid vacation if you are you have a regular job. I don't
Hmm.
because self-employed.
Right.
Free schools, free hospitals, so we have actually nothing to complain about.
Well, as we know, though, everyone has their own fish to fry, if so to speak. Nowhere is perfect, but
That's right.
I think it's so cool that it's like time travel. I mean, you're 6 hours ahead, so it's 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. my time, and we still get to do this. Like,
That's
how cool.
amazing. And where are you?
I'm in Savannah, Georgia,
Okay.
so the southeastern United States.
Okay.
But if
And
you ever find yourself nearby, that's the best thing about this podcast. It's like meeting friends and meeting new people and I'm like, come stay with me. Let me show you Savannah if it ever worked out.
I'd love to. Yeah, that's amazing, right? COVID did something good, right? It opened the borders.
That's right. That's right. Well, and sort of this is a little bit of a metaphor for what telepathy can do. And that's what so you were sort of the cherry on top of my telepathy series, if you will. I didn't mean to do this, but you're the third guest that has a different part of telepathy. So I am so into the subject. Obviously, the telepathy tapes, once I listened to it, was all I could talk about. And so I wanted to explore different facets of, like, dive deeper into the things that I've heard. And I obviously found you on a Facebook group, which was super random. And we were somehow talking about how you've done these podcasts and you're just sort of sick of having to defend telepathy and prove it. You know what I mean? Like, let's just operate on the premise that we all agree this is a thing.
Exactly.
And then we can just explore it instead of have to like do all the background work. So that's
Yeah,
what I wanted to do today.
I love that. And of
Yes.
course, maybe I had a bad day or
Oh,
low on energy when I posted that post when I'm sick and tired of proving myself because I've been doing that my entire life. Could
yeah.
we, take it a step further? But of course,
I didn't
people.
take it negative, just so you know. I took it as an opportunity. And that's, again, an opportunity like, ooh, I'll be the person. I'll be the person you get to talk to.
Right.
So it all worked out perfectly. But okay, let me kind of introduce you, and then I want to hear your introduction of a little bit of a background. Again, we're not defending, just explaining about your background. But my dog is here, and we hadn't talked about it beforehand. So whatever you're comfortable with, I would love to bring him up, and then we can see. We can also. My thought was, and you can also drive this, is he could help drive the conversation. So we'll see if he's got some things. So on my walk today, I asked him if he had any questions for you.
Okay, but usually, maybe I will do that exceptionally for you because usually I won't do telepathy on a podcast show
Oh,
because if I do that, everyone in the world who has a podcast show will try to, get in
that way.
line when it comes
Yes.
to telepathy. But a short question, yes, of course,
Yes.
you can do that. But
Sure. And you know what? This is let me preface with that. This is your livelihood. This is your work. And yes, absolutely. No one wants to take advantage of that. So
no,
that's fine. We can just do, if you feel like something's coming in and you want to, we can bring it up. If not, let's just
right.
explore how we can teach each other and practice to do this ourselves. So we're not, I mean, no one's putting you out of a job, but the
No, no.
education piece is also part
But
of
let
what you
me
do.
tell me first before you introduce me, what is your interest? Are you a mother, a dog lover, why did
Yes.
you wind up with the telepathy tapes?
Oh, so all of the above. I am a seeker, and that's why I'm here first and foremost. So since I was a little girl, like my dad would set me free in the library, and I would end up in like the metaphysical section, and I would just, I'm like, this is all the stuff I felt like I already knew, and then somebody wrote a book about it, and now I can explore it even more. So that's kind of where I feel like it all started. And then I went in and out of churches in my childhood and kind of still looking for more. Anyway, so that's just been an interest of mine that has never waned. And I can say if any of my friends are listening, they know I could hyperfixate on other random things and it comes and goes. This has been a constant in my life. But I am a mother and I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. They're in school now. I managed rental properties and wanted to create something that explored some of my interest in this, but yet wanted to connect with people. And I am an animal lover, but and even as I go on my seeking journey, even more and more, I feel even more connected to nature and animals, and I think that's just a natural progression.
Mm.
So I do think that I have some of these same kind of gifts, but I've always that's just popping in my head because it's my own thoughts. But then the more I learn, wait, where are our thoughts coming from? What are thoughts? And so I just love exploring it all. And it's not like this project. I don't want to get rich and famous. It's to connect people, and that I want to be a bridge for everyone to learn these new ideas. So that was not very much of an elevator speech. I apologize.
That. I love that. I get the chance to get to know you as well, and
Well,
that's
that's sweet.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, because I don't really talk about why I'm doing this a whole lot, and it's good to kind of recheck in with myself too. Um, okay, so this is Ditte Young, everyone, and she is a telepath, an animal communicator, a clairvoyant, and a coach. And I'm going to read the bullets on your bio that you gave me because they are excellent and helps put a little bow on everything, which we all know there's no such thing as a tiny box you fit into, but this just helps with some background. So you were featured on the #1 podcast, The Telepathy Tapes. You are a TEDx speaker with the title of your speech, The 3 Tools to Success My Disabled Son Taught Me. And then you're a family therapist, a telepath, a clairvoyant. She's the mother of Philip, who was born blind, has optic nerve loss, is autistic, and brain damage. So I want to get into what came first, your animal telepathy or the ability to be able to help your son and communicate. We can go there. I'm the author, or you're the author of 4 books about telepathy. You co-authored the coaching book, Activate Your Life. You are known as Denmark's most recognized animal communicator, and you've taught more than 850 students worldwide, which blows my mind. How cool is that? So specifically, we want to talk about what are some practical applications where we can communicate with our loved ones and pets and love and cultivate that relationship. And you've participated in the Telepathy Tapes, Money Heist on Netflix, which I haven't seen, and I want to check that out, and various Danish TV shows and news stations. So you are many things, Dita, and I want you to give us some of your background on how did you get into this work? Chicken or the egg, which came first, your son or animals?
Animals.
Okay.
Basically, I don't know what your target group of listeners are, and is it women or is it family members or is it animals?
I think that there's a lot of parents that listen, but it's not necessarily parents of non-speakers.
No.
So, and I don't have a child that's autistic or a non-speaker. It's just become an interest where I think that that these last few episodes I've explored this idea. But yes, women, parents, seekers. Honestly, I don't know if it's good or bad. My demographic, like who I am and what I'm seeking, I know I'm not the only one. Hence the girl next door, like copy
Right.
paste. There's other people looking for the same thing. So hope that
That's
helps.
me, the girl next door, spiritual.
Yes.
I love that. I think when you have interest in spirituality, you often feel othered or like as oversensitive human being. And
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up as you in a very, I don't know, you said religious, but you said church, you mentioned churches, and I
Mm-hmm.
was brought up in a very religious home here in Denmark. And I don't know why that is, and that's a whole different debate we don't have to go into because it's vulnerable. But I experienced as a child it was a bad thing to explore spirituality. It was the devil's work or black magic or yeah, negative forces. And I felt ever since I was a child, I was special gifted, but I didn't felt it like I was special gifted. I just knew there is some abilities I have I don't think other people recognize here because I feel so alone with this. It is supernatural for me to sense what happens in a room, even though people aren't speaking openly about it. It's very natural for me to hear, literally hear, what the animals are telling me, and I just knew that my friends were interested in so many other things. And when I turned, I think I was 8 years old, I started to get increased abilities, which means starting to predict the future, predict diseases, predict whenever people were going to die. It was very overwhelming as a 7, 8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And I kind of shut it down, but it just kept on becoming bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. And when I turned 19 years old, I was so sick and tired of it. So I contacted a clairvoyant school, and here in Europe we have a lot of schools because we need the ethic and the morality and the standard to be very high. And I kind of like that about Europe.
Yeah.
In the UK, the mediums are known for their police work when it comes to detective work and crimes, investigation and stuff like that. So it was important for me to go to somebody who had a very high standard of this. And she told me, 19 years old, you are becoming a very renowned animal communicator. You're becoming world famous, and you will give birth to a son, and he will be special gifted, and you will create speeches about him and standing on stages talking about your son. And the two things I noticed, I remember, was animal what what because
Mm-hmm.
animal communication in the 80s and 90s weren't a thing. And the second thing that had my interest was, who's the dad? If I get a son, who's the freaking dad? Is he good looking, or how can I date him? And
Yeah,
yeah,
let's get to the real questions here. Yeah.
be the son. I'm interested in the dad. And I had to practice on 60 people during my education, and it was a lot of assignments which I have been inspired by, and I took those methods into my educations, either animal communication or parents who are interested in telepathy, and they are primarily about blindfolding people, because if you blindfold a telepath, you're not biased or can cold read or just be the partition that are totally objective in a test or in a session. And I practiced with 40 animals as well, which is 100 souls, two or four-legged. I took in everything: birds, dogs, goldfish, ants,
Wow.
everything, because I had to understand what's animal communication. And I saw how easy it was. I saw this is way too simple. I can't even get it. Okay, I understand now the difference between mediumship, clairvoyance, healing, deceased contact,
Mm-hmm.
telepathy. I truly get it. And I have to pass this on to other people. And then I studied as a therapist. I think many people that are interested in the spiritual world or alternative world, when we enter, we never stop. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
interesting too. It's super expensive and it takes a lot of money and a lot of time.
That's true.
Right. Um, And when I worked in the TV industry back then, and I started with clairvoyant session, with animal communication as a side job. It wasn't my full-time job. And I remember I was standing in a stable, and I had to help an owner with a mare that was pregnant, and and it was important for the owner to know, is it a stallion? They wished for a stallion because it would be a lot of money, or worth
Mm.
a lot of money, or a mare. And I remember this mare told me, and this might sound ridiculous, but this
Oh,
is true.
don't ever worry about that.
Okay, you need the yes hat and
Yes,
the
the yes hat says
yes.
nothing is ridiculous. It's
Okay,
all amazing. I love it.
and the mayor said, it's a stallion, and you have a stallion in you too. And I was like, what? And I ran home. I never planned on becoming pregnant. And I ran home and took a pregnancy test, and it was, I was pregnant with Philip, my son. So the animal came first. And then a long journey started with Philip, and getting to become even better and even stronger, faster telepath after I got him in my life. And he kind of forced me into becoming a full-blown animal communicator and a therapist because I couldn't go back to my
Mhm.
regular job in the news department. So that's
Okay.
how my
Because you
journey.
had to care for him more. You had to be focused on him. And
Yes.
okay. And this job afforded that flexibility. Oh, wow. And again, if you now with the bird's eye view, you're just like, it all makes sense. Doesn't it help you with any hardships now in your life to be able to see, look, if all of this all worked out exactly how it's supposed to, the rest will too.
Totally, and it's very, very recent that this occurred to me. Even though I'm a spiritual person and a clairvoyant, I believe there's a meaning to everything, trust in the universe, etc., and manifestation, and so on. But I never understood, why am I the animal communicator? Because I don't have animals. I'm not a rider. I don't have a horse. I was freaked out, and I was actually scared of the horses to begin with. And I did understand throughout the years. I think I got this job because I'm not afraid of the of it, and I'm not projecting on it. I don't have a goal in there in the industry. I don't have any acknowledgement or goals to reach. I actually don't give a beep flying something
Yeah.
for being in there. I could become pure as an animal communicator. But my team around me often said, because I did communicated with autistic children, and as a clairvoyant and telepath, they had difficulties to figure out, how can we create that career shift from an animal communicator to a telepath with children. How do we do that without losing your good reputation you
Mm.
worked so hard for? And I get it now. And the telepathy tapes has been a very important piece in my puzzle. And I have said that to Kai Dickens as well.
Mhm.
Thank you for making this job easier for
Yeah.
me to build that bridge, because I couldn't have participated on the telepathy tapes if I didn't have Philip, or if I was an animal communicator.
I mean, the pieces of the puzzle is it's astounding, but it shouldn't be, right? To your point, like we should just be like, oh, that makes sense, but
Thank
it's
you.
but it doesn't feel like that as a human sometimes.
I know.
So let me ask you about when you with your so were you able to communicate with Philip in utero?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I knew something was off.
Oh.
But I think so many people and parents out there who has some motherly instinct or parenting intuition or a sixth sense are being swiped away from the professional team, saying, no, 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 you're first time mom. No, 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 it's not true. And I believe them, even though I felt I'm something is off here. And I had a C-section with giving birth to Philip, and I wasn't sedated, which was a very traumatic experience. And when he came out, I remember I knew it's true, something is off. And when he turned 3 months, I told the nurse, I need another nurse because you don't believe me, and I know something is off. And then I swapped to another nurse, and she got us hospitalized in a heartbeat of a second. In came the neurologist, psychiatrist, the doctors, telling me, you have a completely blind son who's brain damaged. And I, as a mother, was like, Sorry, excuse, what? No, 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 rewind. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do any stuff, lotions or
Right.
hormone
I did it
because
all right.
I did everything by the book, and I got the, the neurodivergent son, what the what, and I totally get why I got him now, and I wouldn't exchange him in the world. So it sounds a bit exaggerated when I tell the story, but it's honest. It's very honest because I think all parents fear during those 9 months, is something wrong with the kid? Oh my God, is it sound and healthy,
Hmm.
and mine wasn't. And now I totally understand. He's just the perfect boy who teaches me about presence, about only being there now, believing in my intuition, and because telepathy is like building up a muscle in the brain, I already trained that part of the brain, but he trains me every single day, which
Hmm.
means I'm faster, I'm stronger, I'm better because of him.
Well, and you're the perfect mother for him. I mean, he
No.
chose you. And then when you were pregnant and giving birth and were told this news, did you remember your reading from the clairvoyant and your,
Oh yes,
yeah.
and when I started training with horses, just because out of curiosity, again, I was afraid of the horses. News spread really fast in that equine industry and later in the canine industry. But because I wasn't a horse girl, I
Mhm.
never subscribed to horse magazines,
Right.
and they wrote articles about me, which means I became famous before I knew I was famous.
Because you didn't have the magazines or you weren't in the community.
And I remember I thought, okay, this is happening right now. Where are all those clients coming from? How do they find me? Because this was way before Facebook was a
Right.
thing. And now I get it. Now I get it.
And they were training you to be the perfect mother for Philip too. I mean,
Yes,
it's all, yeah.
yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so when I was talking to Lenny this morning, and again, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I can't tell you that, right? Isn't that what you probably hear all the time? I asked him when I was walking, we were walking, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I speak out loud and give pictures in my head when I'm trying to communicate with him at the same time. And he's sniffing some kind of moss situation. And I'm thinking, pay attention to me. I'm talking to you. And then that question came to mind for me to ask you. So, what does sometimes it look like? Just because our child or our animal isn't focusing on us, are we still communicating? Or do you need to be like, hey, buddy, eyes up? How does it look when it's happening?
Um, Telepathy is known in a everyday life as you receive a thought in your head or an image in your head or an emotion. So those three things, those three methods, I call it,
Hmm.
transmitted is called telepathy. Some telepaths get only the thought-based transmission. Other people only get the images. And in a everyday life, you know it because when you think of a friend, she calls you. Or when you think of, oh, I get this nervous emotion in my stomach that something is off. I think I have to react on it. And it's true, something was off, etc., etc. So that is how it's shown in reality. So it doesn't require an eye-to-eye contact where Lenny is saying and opening his mouth
Or
simultaneously
like
with
looking
you.
up at me while I'm talking to
Hello,
him.
mommy. I can hear you. It
Yep.
doesn't work that way. He sends out thoughts and emotion and energies all the time, and
Hmm.
it's up to us to pick up on it and to give you an example and the listeners an example of how it works as a telepath. If you could imagine, Kelly, that you and I were sitting on a couch watching a movie together. We had a movie night, but you weren't looking at the television. I was the only one to look at the television. You were looking outside the window, or you were blindfolded or falling asleep or something.
Hmm.
I had to get a hold of the storyline here, and then I could pass it on to you. So it wouldn't be a now to now based. He said because I wouldn't have time enough to do that while he spoke to me in the TV. I wouldn't have the capacity to tell you simultaneously what he said. I had to
Right.
wait for it for a bit, oh, that's the meaning. He said, let's go to the cafe. And I could say, oh, Kelly, he says they are going to the cafe. Does that make sense?
Yes, because that's how I've always wondered how when I've watched the telepathy happen, how do they have the ability? It's almost like watching any interpreter, really, like a sign language. I mean, how are they able to
Right.
keep up with the message and communicate
Trans-
at the same time? But you can visually see it with a sign language interpreter. And anybody like different languages if people interpret it. There's a little bit of a delay. You have to sort of download and then, right? Is that what you're
and
saying?
pass it on. For
Mm-hmm.
example, to you, who you listened to my episode on the telepathy tape,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yes.
But to the listeners who haven't got the chance to get there or aren't interested, I did a telepathical session with the producer, Kai Dickens' dog, which is called Tucker.
Mhm.
And I told, if you remember, I told Kai Dickens, your dog Tucker shows me a park. That's the image.
Mm.
And I think that's a thought. It's not, he's not with your family, but he says that's thought. That he will become more playful or happier if you took him there, and that's the emotion. So that's the three way of him sending this information to me, and it's up to me to interpret it correctly. Because if I'd misinterpret the emotions,
Mm.
it would have been a different story if I have told Kai, "Oh my goodness, your dog hates the park.
Yeah.
We'll never take him there. You know, he's super traumatized by that, and he hates children. Stay away from
Hmm.
children."
And it was the opposite. You could feel the emotions to know.
Which
Yeah.
means it's important to take your time as a translator or the telepath. What is the meaning behind this? Use your clear sentience, your empathy. Okay, this is happiness, or this is anxiety, or this is sorrow, or this is anger, and then translate it.
Oh, I love that. That's okay. Already on the practical applications. I think that's fantastic. So what he told me that I think, and again, it could be my team. This is where I'm learning to discern. Is it my spiritual connection when I'm on a walk to my higher self and my spiritual guides, or am I actually talking to Lenny? I don't know, but I know that this information that came through was not out of my head. He said, he told me that if you want to know how to speak telepathically, it just begins with love, and you need to build a connection of love, just like any relationship. And just to give you background, and then I want you to weigh in on this whole idea. I often try to talk to my guides about, I feel like there's some kind of block that I can't make this discernment between who I'm talking to and can you help me? And they basically have given me the message that I'm not building the relationship. There is no block. I need to pause as the human, take a moment to connect, turn off the noise, and build the relationship. And that effort will then allow me to have that discernment. But I can't go on a walk, listen to a podcast, meditate for 5 minutes, answer the text message, and say, "Oh, there's a block." Like, so they're like laughing and saying, "There's no block. You just need to chill out, sister." So Lenny was giving me similar visuals when he's like, it begins with love and connection, just like that. So if you want to connect telepathically, you need to purely love me and empty your mind and just believe that this can happen, and start to forge that muscle and connection. So sorry to ramble on, but that's what I got during my walk. But I want to hear if you agree, if you have caveats.
The essence of being a telepath is actually being as pure as possible, which means you cannot have an ego in there during a session like that. Which means I understand why he said, Lenny, pure love, because it's actually true. You can't have a mission, you can't project anything, you can't have a thought in there, because you need to empty yourself and your mind to create room for the client, the dog, the
Mm,
child, the cat, the horse, to let them tell their stories. And it's different from what you think, what you want, what you wished
mm,
for, and leave space for that, basically, which is why it's very difficult to be a professional telepath, because you can never be in it. You have to leave yourself out of your own job. No acknowledgement, no ego, nothing. And it takes a lot. And in my educations, when I do that, people are like, "Oh, is telepathy that easy when you turn it on in the brain?" I'm like, "Yep, it is." But finding time and space in your everyday stressful life with no interruption, no thoughts, good luck. This is difficult. It's difficult.
I often ask my friends when they're like, well, I don't want to meditate because I just don't want to sit there and do like chants. And they have this, stereotypical idea in their mind. And I'm like, listen, when was the last time you sat down and put your phone on airplane mode for 15 minutes and just sat there with yourself? I mean, people just don't, it's just not something in our everyday life. And they're like, oh, like that, I think it's interesting that that concept, there's like a mental leap to get there in our day and age.
That's why we get all these neurodivergent children to the world, because they force us to put the flight mode on our screens, apps, devices. They force us to do it. And I'm pretty sure, and I know this sounds like a silver paper hat or something very alternative, I think the universe is going to help us to become who we were born to be. Regardless, it can be shown in many different forms, through a with a new president, with COVID and a lockdown. Neurodivergent children, they are trying to teach us to be more loving and caring to one another, and there are so many different paths for us to understand it. And it's very interesting that many skeptical people, when it comes to spirituality or just self-insight, uh, apparently has to be victimized of traffic, car accidents, or brain injuries or blood clots, and then they wake up from a coma and they're super spiritual. Now they're super over religious. I'm a believer now. Is that because they lost their normal sense of what's their normal brain functioning? No, it's because they experienced that there is something that is bigger than you and I, and they experienced that they don't have power of anything. Give it to God, give it to the
Yeah.
universe.
An
That's
ego death mixed with what you're saying. Yes, it's like an ego where I'm not in control. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, which that's a hard pill to swallow when you really, really sit in it. Because there is some control, I believe, in terms of we're shaping our own realities. That's our
Definitely.
piece of control. But how that may happen, that's what you have to surrender to.
Definitely, but if you look at a situation, I think many of people, normal people out there understand, would be, okay, you have a woman and she's in an abusive relationship. What is the odds that she finally breaks up with the dude, ends up at a bar finding the next abusive guy? Or it could be a sensitive person going into a company, finding the psychopath of a boss, get fired or resigns, find the next psychopathic boss, which means, is it you who attracts the psychopath and the abusive partner because it's your karma lesson and you need to learn from it? Or, and is it because the universe will make sure that you have to deal with this task regardless wherever you go? But do you have the power of finding a new job? Yes. Do you have the power of leaving your husband? Yes, you do. But you also have the responsibility to figure out, why am I being met with this obstacles all the time in the world, instead of being a victim of it, but handling it.
Yes. Oh, I mean, that was such a good explanation where, yeah, listen, those patterns are going to repeat out of your control. I love or and. Or and is
Or
like,
a
or yes, or and, but it's not out of your control. You need to deal with that pattern.
Yes.
And that sounds so much. So how would you, what's your method to, and this is kind of a hard question because it's sort of personal for everyone on how to
Right.
sort of disprove their limiting beliefs, how to transmute those patterns once you face them. Once you decide, okay, why is this triggering me? What's the lesson here? And then how would you transmute it? Is that something that you've been faced with?
Oh yeah, my entire life. In my personal relationships, I have been with men because yeah, I'm in a relationship to men, and I've been attracted to the alpha men, which means those men who had the courage to knock down my self-defense mechanism and just enter my heart. And I felt seen and I felt chosen and I felt like the little princess because I was kind of like an ice bitch back then because
Hmm.
protecting myself for being such a sensitive girl, basically.
Hmm.
But with those alpha dudes came such an abusive behavior and addictions. Addicts on money or acknowledgement or alcohol or even drugs. And I just saw the line of, I'm sorry, fuckheads in my
Hmm.
life. And I just thought, okay, the only thing they have in common is me. Why am I attracting those dudes?
Hmm.
And I knew, okay, this must be, what am I gaining from this relationship? I'm gaining the fact that when I feel I rescue them, I feel worthy. I feel valued in my relationship. Well, then the lesson must be to value myself, very, very fast. And then it stopped. Then the pattern stopped. And I always ask myself when I see things as an invitation in my life. When people are mistreating me or projecting drama on me, I know, oh, there's something I didn't heal because otherwise I would never attract it. Does that make
Absolutely. And I
does that
think so. This theme has come up a good bit, which I love re-exploring. That what you can do and that you've learned to do in these is to have the strength to not feel the shame
Mm,
around the fact that you're the creator. Because
yes,
I think that could be easy. Like I'm trying to learn how to communicate that to my kids
yeah,
without shaming them. So if they come home and they're like, this person said they didn't like my shoe. I'm just trying to come up with an example. Their shoes, and they made me feel bad. Well, no one can make you feel bad, but what were they showing you? And maybe it's an inside job. Do you not feel great about your shoes and why? And where's the self-confidence waning? And we can look to build up your self-love so therefore people aren't having the mirror effect in your life. But where I struggle, and maybe you have some advice, is explaining that to my child without saying, hey, you created this bully and you should, and then they're going to be like, wait, it's my fault. Do you know what? So that's a hard thing to communicate, but I
it,
think as soon as they get it, it's life changing.
it's a hard balance. And I think all children, all souls on this planet, dogs, cats, horses, human beings, we are seeking acknowledgement and to be understood. We build friendships by being mirrored by another person. Oh, you fancy shoes, I fancy shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like I don't know what. Italian food. I love Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we have something in common. So we constantly seek equality and things where it feels safe for us because now we are the same. And your child is doing exactly the same thing when they ask for, can you just meet me in my needs for I was hurting, it was
Mm-hmm.
hurtful. Acknowledge that. Yes, he was an ass. You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have said that, or she shouldn't have said that.
Mm-hmm.
And, and, or, and what can you do differently the next time? Did you speak up about it, or do you want me to take action on it, or did you ask for help from a teacher, etc., etc.?
Yeah.
You teach your child to act,
Mm-hmm.
feel, acknowledge, and act.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
I think that's beautiful. And I mean, also, and or you can say when you explore those feelings, like, how did that make you feel? And if they said like makes me feel bad about, then let's say, well, let's learn about how to not give that person power.
yeah,
How do we? And then to your point, those actions often disempower the,
right.
the other person. So I don't know. I think that is one of the secrets to life is learning how to be empowered and take responsibility and rather than the victim. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Everyone around me, clients, friends, members victimize themselves because they are passing on the power. Oh, my boss was an ass, or oh, my boyfriend was hurting me, or blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, 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 because you could take action on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can take responsibility. This might be something that you're the common denominator, to your point. Who is the person that's continuing to be in the cycle? Okay, one thing I wanted to talk about too, if you're open to it, is um, often I hear and read about telepathy being like the original language of consciousness, and that we are just remembering it rather than learning it. Do you have thoughts on maybe why we forgot as a species, as a human consciousness? And what are some of the best ways to remember?
It's interesting. I never heard that we forgot about telepathy, and it is where everything origins from. Is that
Like the
correct?
original language. I don't know. And maybe that's not the case.
I basically think it's the same thing because I recognize this because I don't know how. But
Hmm.
in the Stone Ages, or when we were dependent on killing a prey, we lived in cages and had to listen and sense. We used all our senses, otherwise we would have been killed or
Hmm.
have nothing to eat. And the pineal gland is a part of the brain, and some people think that telepathy starts from the pineal gland. And when they measured the pineal gland back then, and again, I have no idea how they did that,
Right.
but you can Google it.
Okay,
Pineal,
fair.
yeah. It was on the size of the same size as a golf ball back then.
Okay.
And when you measure the pineal gland today, where we're living in a society where we don't think anymore, we swipe or we, click on a keyboard, and the GPS is telling us where to go instead of
Hmm.
sensing where to go. They measured the pineal gland at the size of a pea, a small little green pea, which means if that is the case, we have a potential we stopped using. And that's why I recognize what you're saying here, but I'm not sure it was to say that telepathy is the first language. I don't know if it's a
Maybe
language.
it means soul language, like not maybe as embodied humans, but when in the non-physical, we are all using telepathy. And so when we come from the non-physical into our bodies, it's a remembrance of what it would have been like.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think we just forgot being intuitive.
hmm.
Stop being intuitive. When people ask me how can I train telepathy, meditate. And if you hate meditation, shut off your GPS and drive. Figure out how to get there because I know you'll get to the right location.
Hmm.
It might take you 15 minutes more, but it's not going to take you 3 hours
Right.
because you have some sort of, like inner map or an inner watch,
I
etc.
love that as a practical exercise too, just to flex that muscle. To your point, if it's a muscle, let's use it.
Let's train it.
Because it is terrifying, what they say, use it or lose it. It's terrifying to think we could lose it.
I don't think we can lose it ever
Mhm.
because I always think as a a person with instincts, which we have, and we have our nervous system to help us with potential danger. We aren't that stupid. We are stupid. We are more stupid than animals because
Mhm.
if 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 a horse gets electrified on a fence, it will never come near the fence. If a dog gets attacked by a black Labrador or another dark dog, it will never come near that color of dogs again. We as human beings are the only one repeating our actions. In case we didn't understand it the first time, we're trying the second time, the third time, and the fourth time. But I don't think we will ever forget about being intuitive. We have our intuition, we have our sixth sense, but some people are more open than other
Mhm.
people of using it.
No, well, yes, that makes sense. Are there any other tricks or tips besides you have meditation, and I love the idea, turn off the GPS, just see what you can do. Like if you're not in a hurry, let's see. Yeah, just drive and see if you use your senses to end up in the right place. And then if you don't, you can always turn the GPS back on. Right? No harm, no foul. But it's a good exercise. Are there any other exercises you recommend?
Be visual, to be frank. This is telepathy because I always, you can always ask for proof of telepathy. You can ask the child, or you can ask the dog or the horse to do some sort of signal, and just remember that it will only show it to you once or twice. It won't be a circus pony and say, okay, I'll do it again and again and again and again. So be respectful when you ask for a proof of any kind. That could be, if it's a yes, please nod or turn your head to the right. And if it's a no, turn your head to the left and wait for it. And it will show you it turned the head to the right. And we as human beings might think, oh my God, it turned. It must be a yes. No, it's a coincidence. We'll say immediately after, ask the dog again. Can you do it again? And that's what I mean. Do it maximum twice and then stop. Then it's not fun for the dog. Visualization is one of the most difficult things when it comes to telepathy, because it's difficult to visualize things. When I talk about visualization, and I said Tucker, the dog in the telepathy tapes, showed me a park. That image is like the same if I told you, can you show me what's in your fridge now, but don't go there. Then you have to seek inside of yourself instead of out. Your attention goes back in your, to the back of your head or mind, seeking, okay, I opened the door. What is on the side? What's, where's the milk? Where's the fruit? Where's, the sausage, etc. Whatever you might have in your fridge. But you can't maintain that image for an hour. It's so exhausting. You have to do snippets of it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, and that makes me feel like I'm doing it right. So thank you for that validation because the whole visualize, I when I first really started getting serious in my meditation, I would try to do the guided ones, and I felt like I wasn't doing it right because I could not hold the space. Imagine yourself in your safe place in nature, and then you're supposed to, and they guide you down the path, and I could see it kind of, but I just felt like I was doing it wrong. But then the more I meditated just in silence or without a goal, I can visualize. When you said that about my fridge, I had specific anchors of things. I could see it, and
But
but that proves again, I'm in need of validation at this stage of my growth. That proves it's a muscle that you can't. So many people, oh, I'm just bad at visualizing. Well, that'll prove that you're actually developing your muscle once it gets
and
better.
train it. If it's difficult to visualize things, close your eyes and visualize something. It's like when you are having a dream or you're doing manifestations. It's the same thing.
Yes, the dream also, analogy is so beautiful because I'll tell when talking about discerning who you might be speaking to, and I'm maybe again this is the way I've been working on it. In a dream, I don't always see someone's face, but I know who it is because of how they feel. It's also just like it just is,
Mm.
like that just is my husband in the dream. It's not like I'm seeing his face and what he's wearing. And then that's kind of how I'm learning in the discernment. It just is that because there's some energetic blueprint, not because I see, oh, their nose is that shape or this is the sound of their voice.
Good. But
Yeah.
because why do we need clothes? Why do we need that particular nose? Because on the other side, we don't have that anymore.
And
Anyway.
then there is evidential mediumship, I suppose, where maybe the spirit is giving the medium these visual cues as evidence for the person you're sitting with.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why they do it. And they always show themselves when they look the best.
Yeah. So hey, that feels good for everybody. Like you can create your persona over there.
Right.
Okay, do you mind if I ask you one question about Lenny? I don't want to take up too much of your time with that, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's taking a little nap. Hey, Lenny, come here. Come here. I want to meet you. I want you to meet somebody. Come here. If I tell him I'll give him some cheese, he'll get here real quick. Come here, buddy. Sorry in advance to all those listening to the podcast, and you just heard my dog baby voice. That's annoying. All right,
This is
come on. Come here. Up,
Hey,
up here. No, right here.
hey Lenny.
Silly.
Come and
Right.
say hi. Oh,
Say
you're
hi.
a cutie.
Say hi.
Can I see you? Hello, Lenny. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. He's
So,
nice.
so we have a thing in our house. This is one random, my husband's gonna be like, you had two questions and this is the one you're asking. He's half husky. And so we do a thing where we get him to howl, and it doesn't take much. We just do our own howl, and he starts howling. But then he'll start wagging his tail, but yet he feels kind of, to me, kind of anxious about it. And so I want to be able to tell my family he feels like he's one of the pack when we do the howling, and it's fun, or does it give him anxiety because it's like overstimulating? That's such a random question, but I've always been interested.
Uh, a bit of anxiety. I'm sorry to admit this, but it's more like anxiety, and he's so well behaved. He's so well trained, which means I wouldn't interrupt with that beautiful training. I must say I think your husband did with Lenny,
Mm.
um, because when
Yeah,
I
he
went,
doesn't really bark, but or make a whole lot of noise. And I don't know if he was trained. So he's a rescue dog. We don't know much anything about his background.
but I sense on him he's very well trained, and I also sense on him that he wants to behave to be sure that he's here to stay.
Mm.
I have to be, a really good boy so I can stay in the family, which could be solved in another way. If you wanted him to howl, it can go either way.
Mhm.
Respecting, okay, this is the reason why he's not doing it, or the other way, he can do it and I'm allowing it by telling him you are here to stay.
Okay, so before we
If
do
that
our
makes sense.
it's okay because that's what it is. It's a fun thing we like to do, especially my kids get in on it. We're all and it's the feeling initially is like, oh, look, we're all one pack, and it's a fun thing. But then sometimes I feel like he gets nervous about it, and I
Yeah,
don't.
and he's sensitive. Even though he's a playful one and he's a very beautiful prince, he's sensitive. So
Yeah.
it is overstimulating him as well.
We've had to put on him on some recent medicine. Is there anything you're picking up on that of how it's making him feel?
I don't know what the medicine is for, or what his health issues is, and I'm not doing a full telepathy here and trying to tune in on everything. But when you said medicine, my heartbeat started to go up a little bit,
Mm.
and my heart is beating faster, which means one of the side effects from the medicine, besides feeling dry, feeling getting really thirsty right now.
He
Um,
was just drinking water when you said that. So
oh, how funny!
he just walked over and drank water out of his
I,
bowl as you
yes, Lenny, I drink water.
cheers. Lenny, tell us about how the medicine's making you feel now that you're done with your water.
But thirsty, dryness
Mm.
inside, and the heart rate goes up.
Okay.
That was the three side effects.
Okay. Yeah. So he's taken it for some sort of seizures. It looks like neuromuscular, and we just lowered his dosage because he was getting kind of tired and lethargic. So anyway, it's we're hoping that it's better than a seizure. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and we're just and one of them was hypothyroidism. So anyway, we're working on that with him and making sure that he's comfortable. But it's just tricky when you don't know what
I
your
know, but maybe you should believe in your own abilities and, just ask him, just clean yourself, be pure, and say whatever come will come, and believe it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the task.
That is the task, is the believing it. Yeah. And not worrying about anybody else and if they believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not important if anybody else believe it. It's your dog.
Right? That's true. And there'll be times that when we're talking as a family, and so the howling thing, he jumped off the bed after our little like we were all playing with him, and then he kind of walked away, and I said, "He just told y'all he is not your puppet." And that's exactly what I was getting. That it's like, okay, guys, this is fun, but I am not just here to be your show pony.
Yeah.
And I'm done now. But so, and it could just be again, it's just an observation too, but that doesn't make it any less true.
But trust it.
Yeah.
Trust it. I have created books and online classes about personality profiles, animal personality profiles. And you heard on the telepathy tapes, I called Tucker, I think it was playful, sensitive, and I can't remember if I said prince or king, but when I look at Lenny, it's clear the playful one, very sensitive one, and the prince. And the prince is the majestical one. He's too fancy. He's too nice. He's too snobbish to do, else something else. Be respectful. Ask him. Approach him. Ask for his permission on
Yeah.
things. And when you don't meet the animals needs in their personality profiles, then we interpret as human beings they have behavioral issues. And that's why I created those personality profiles, because I can explain the behavioral issues and we can remove them in the minute the owners understand what it's
Hmm.
about.
He earlier in our adoption, the beginning when he would run away,
Oh,
and he would bolt any chance he would get. Now we live in a place without a fence, and he still wanders off every now and then, but he knows that he's not supposed to. But I feel like it's in response to me not exercising him
yeah.
the way if it's like a day where I wasn't able to get him a walk, well, and again, that just makes sense, right?
It
And instead
does.
of explaining it away,
Yeah. Yeah, of
what?
course it makes sense. He was understimulated. Then I'm gonna take off. I just have to go to the gym myself.
And that's what I feel like he said before. I'm like asking my husband, "Are you able to take him today? Because I've got it." And he's like, "No." And he said, "Well, he's good. He's saying because he'll just pace around the house if he hadn't had his walk." And I'm like, "He's saying he's going to go take it upon himself." And that's why I can't get too mad at him when because I'm like, I need to get it. But also, hey, Lenny, can you just do laps around the house? That would be better than ending up at the neighbor's house. I would
Yeah,
appreciate that.
that's true.
We got to keep you safe. But
Yeah.
explaining that about like, I don't want you to run away because the cars could hit you.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for that. That's amazing. And talking about your business, being able to teach others how to do telepathy, are there other general messages and themes that are coming up now, new in your business, now that you don't have to break through those walls of skepticism and the publicity that the telepathy tapes have given you? Have you got to explore new avenues in your business?
I am swamped.
Ugh.
I was already very busy. I've been working in this the telepathical industry for 27 years, and I'm very renowned in Europe. But the telepathy tapes has truly shown me how big the telepathy tapes is actually is, because it's not only people from America, it's people from China, India, it's all over Europe. It's amazing to see how many people. It's 10 million people right now from the world, and many people have listened to the animal communication tapes and the talk tracks with me. And I think for some people they find it more digestible that it's about animals,
Mm,
because it's very vulnerable when it's apraxia and autism. And to me, it's not. It's very interesting because I'm a mother to Philip with autism, but to other people, this could be a bit overwhelming. Like, what the hell? And non-speakers can speak, and what is
mhm,
this? But and that I think that's the reason why the majority of people that haven't children in the autism spectrum find the telepathy tapes with the animal telepathy and animal communication very interesting, because those episodes are doing really great.
mm.
And I am that swamped, so I'm booked a year now in advance, and that's
Wow.
just wow. It's flattering, and it's a bit too much as well. I have to try my best not to take in all these clients, because every single one who can contact me have acute problems. And I have to take care of myself first, so I'm able to take care of Philip and then go help them, because otherwise I couldn't do anything else besides from helping other people, which I have already done. I have these two online classes, one for animal communicators and lovers, and one for parents. And I am hoping, because animal telepathy is just, on a roll, and it's been like that for many years, and now it's just getting bigger and bigger. But I'm hoping to put more focus to telepathy with children, because it's
Okay.
still a very vulnerable thing to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, Is it okay to do? Is it okay to tune in on another child? Is it, and what happens? And this is very, I'm very open for debating this. I do podcast shows on it. I've made online classes about the fact that when we have good people and practitioners, we have bad. When we have successful ones, we have frauds. And every single one will try to make a buck out of the telepathy tapes or the new paradigm shift. How can we manipulate it? Some people might think. And that, I think my life mission will be how to protect yourself from that, have the high standards and the high ethics when it comes to working in this field, and definitely to differ between a fraud and a professional. And how do we do that? And how do we become self-efficient? How can I help the mother to practice telepathy herself, or
Mm-hmm.
you to practice telepathy with Lenny
Mm-hmm.
instead of buying my services? It's better that way because then it's pure.
And then, but that's where you're giving such a gift with your classes and the education piece. And what would you say one of the biggest red flags is for the charlatan that, say you're a mother and you desperately want to communicate with your non-speaker, and what's the best red flag to make sure that that person is pure that you're working with?
That they make a promise. All
Okay.
frauds will make a promise, or I can't say all frauds, but a lot of frauds will. I promise you, I will get your dog back. I promise you for a better life. I promise you she will fall asleep, etc. You can't make that promise because our job as therapists or telepaths or animal communicators are to interpret the needs from the animal or the child. And then it's up to the parent or the animal owner to take the responsibility and take action on it, which means my job is to help them on that journey. And when people call me and they tell me, oh my God, you're pretty expensive compared to other animal communicators, you have a long waiting list. Can you promise me that you can create a behavioral issue? You can solve it. And my answer every single time is yes. I can promise you that I will create a behavioral issue turn if you promise me as the dog owner or animal owner that you will take action on what I'm saying. Can you promise me that? And 90% of them are going to say no, because I don't know what you're about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's why I can't make a promise. But I can promise I'll do my best. And
Yeah.
I can promise that I have experience. And I can promise you can just go seek on Trustpilot what other clients are saying about me, take references, ask for testimonials. Uh, that's basically it. So yeah, that to me that's a red flag. And another
Mm-hmm.
red flag is when people are passing on informations and they never asked for them. It's so invasive. I've met people that think from the best from their heart. I think I have to tell her about this. I saw this and this, or I sensed this and this. And to me as a teacher, why is that important for you? Because then it's your need and your ego that needs to tell this to another person instead of trusting the process and trusting the universe will take care of it. You don't have to intervene with all this. It's way too much.
Oh, I like that. That's something that hasn't occurred to me. And I think that might be touch on what some people think the downsides, quote unquote, of telepathy are, that it's invasive.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to be seen, I think, on the inside.
Yeah, that's basically it. When people are skeptic about my abilities is because they're super afraid that I'm going to read their minds, which would never do when it's my free time. I'm making a living out of it. It's exhausting to practice telepathy. As I told you, your fridge. Now you're trained enough, which made you capable of, creating the images of your fridge. But to the listeners, if I ask them what is exactly every elements in there, every food products, what's in there, it would take them like 30 minutes to tell me what was in the fridge because
Mm-hmm.
it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Could talk to you all day. We're coming up a little bit over our hour. Thank you for being so generous with your time and your
My
knowledge.
pleasure.
And it was so fun to talk to you today.
So fun to be a part of it, and I would love to come back if you feel like it. And please send me the link, and I'll share the show when
I
it's
would
done.
love to, all of the above. And yes, absolutely. I can't wait to share this with everyone. And a lot of my friends were like, I can't wait to hear Dita. They were specifically excited to hear you come on. So again, you're so kind to agree to this, and it was wonderful to meet you. So if you ever find yourself near Savannah, Georgia, please let me know.
Yeah, and please let me know if you're coming back to Europe.
Absolutely. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.